All right, let's get this party started. As usual, my live streams, I know I don't attract a lot of attention, but I am primarily here to. Okay, let's mute this. All right. Uh, I am primarily here to uh, do some recording, pass on a few thoughts, and maybe eventually with some feedback, create some attention, make this a regular thing. My name is Lewis Nichols. This is World Building Essentials and Exercises. And today we're talking about some player tactics. Um, this is specifically about 5e, but it can apply to pretty much any TT RPG, and really other stuff too. There's some very basic advice here, but let's get into it. Um, Player prep. Preparing for a D&D session isn't just for the DM. You should sit down, you should look at your character. You should know what your character's skills are. You should know what their options are. If you're an athletic character, maybe a pushing attack, a non weapon attack is a good decision for you. Sometimes it's something you want to keep in your back pocket. So know the rules. Maybe even write you down a few little notes, or make a copy of that page of the book. Have it ready. That way, it's something you don't use all the time, something your DM doesn't use all the time. Have it handy. Be ready. Be prepared. Um, know the rules that revolve around your character. Know how your spells work. Know as a fighter or other martial character. Know how your abilities work. How your maneuvers work. Um, when you're in the game, plan your turn before it's your turn as best you can. I mean, the circumstances change, but you should be able to know, all right, am I just going to make it quick and simple? Am I just going to make a weapons attack against the closest creature? Do I have any movement I need to make? Any way to reposition my character so they're going to be in a better spot? These are things you can think of ahead of time. You can think about, do I need to use a disengage action for a better spot? Am I, decide ahead of time? Is it willing? Are you willing to take take an attack of opportunity? Um, know your defaults. If you're a wizard, know your cantrips. You're going to use these 40-60% of the time. Have them ready. Don't That way you don't have to think about it too hard. You've already thought about, am I going to use a web or a grease or battlefield control? Am I going to use a spell slot? How important is this fight? If we're winning, if my fighters are a round away from dropping the monster, don't use a spell slot. Throw a cantrip, do some good. Maybe even play lookout. You don't have to contribute every point of damage every chance you get. By the same token, don't regularly pass up easy opportunities to do damage. Um, hey Lillian, we're just talking about D&D and tactics in combat. Welcome. Um, don't expend resources that you don't have to. Uh, Save them for later. That way, you're getting through a dungeon with fewer short rests, fewer long rests, and you're not the one constantly having to need a break. Uh, yeah, that's note card number one. Moving right along. Communicate. This is pre-session as well as in session. Right now, we're talking about preparing for a session. Communicate with your other party members. Know what they're good at. Uh, be able to get an idea of the things that your party as a whole is good at. Are you a speedy group? Are most of your players, most of your characters able to move at over 30? You can take advantage of that. Are you a DPS group? Do you have a lot of people that are just very good at dishing out huge amounts of damage very quickly? Again, you can depend upon that. Are you stealthy? And some of these things work together. Some of them are independent strengths. Let's look at DPS versus stealth. If you can drop a monster in a round or an adversary and stash the body in a closet, that's just as good as sneaking around them. If you are a low DPS party, then you need to use other methods a lot of the time. You do need to sneak around. Are you a range party? If you're good at range, you can combine that with speed. Avoid melee combat. A lot of these are situational, but they're the things that your fighting group is going to rely on. This is your standard mode. Know your party's standard mode and know your part in it. And it makes things move quicker. Another thing groups can be good at, battlefield control. There's a lot of opportunity for that for marshals and for spellcasters in 5e D&D. You can definitely take advantage of that. Control your battlefield, make it hard for the bad guys to move around. Hello, Lord. Good to see you. We're talking about mostly Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, but really applies to any tabletop role-playing game. We're talking about player strategy, both individual and as a group. We're probably going to go about 20 minutes here, and then we can do questions and answers and stuff. If anybody wants to talk about the topic or any kind of world building stuff, gaming in general, whatever you want to do. Third major topic. As a group, learn to be decisive. Most of the time, your decisions make less difference than the act of making the decision. In other words, you are trying to infiltrate a building. You know somebody's in there, your quarry, the people you've been going after. The DM describes the situation. Do you go through the back door? Do you go through the window? Do you go through the front door? And the player paralysis sets in, and there's an hour of planning of, what do I do? It probably doesn't matter. Just what matters is that you pick a direction. As a DM, if you spend 30 minutes figuring out what's happening in there or how you're going to infiltrate, my bad guys might just leave. They might, it might give them all kinds of time to prepare. They may prepare and instigate the attack. Be decisive. I've had this happen in my own campaign many times. You probably have too. This is mostly for players, but DMs hold your players to account. Had a situation where they had a big demon caged. It was really the limits of their ability to combat this thing. But by the same token, there was another group of enemies nearby, and the party was trying to decide what to deal with first. Well, they waited so long, they had to deal with everything at once. The argument went back and forth, and time just ticked away, and they lost their decisiveness. They lost their ability to control the narrative. Most of the time, and it wouldn't have mattered if they would have just dropped the cage. They could have taken out the creature pretty easily before the other group got involved. If they would have engaged the other group, they could have pretty much nullified them before they had to deal with the creature in the cage. So pick something, go with it. In that line, I've always thought this is a good idea. I've never seen a player group actually do it. You can assign a commander, and these 50-50 decisions, they decide, and you go. You can decide later if you want to, if they did a bad job and you want to reassign a different commander for next time, you can make it rotate. You can play up to the character's abilities, as well as the player's abilities. There's nothing wrong here with a little bit of metagaming, and let the aggressive player with the aggressive character, or not necessarily aggressive, but tactical thinking character, make the decisions. This is also a way that if you rotate it, you can include players that are generally quiet and get talked over. It takes a little discipline. If you're the guy at the table that always, is a little bit more boisterous, sometimes you got to learn, just, be quiet, let the other guy make a decision, and don't argue. Even if you think you have a good point, just go with it. Because again, it probably doesn't matter. And once you have a plan, stick to it. I'll bring up Critical Role because a lot of people are familiar with it. They are as bad about this as any other table. They decide that they need to move quickly, that they need to expend minimal resources, and the next thing you know, they have completely distracted themselves. They're expending resources for no reason. Half the group is trying to do a thing one way, the other half is trying to do it the other way, and they end up, everybody convinces each other, they completely flip-flop, more time burns. It's stuff you don't need to do because it doesn't matter. Whichever way you choose is probably going to work. Just pick one. Now, we'll talk about some middle ground later, but for now, let's move on. Usually it's the delays that are the worst part of decision making, not what the decision is. I mentioned that. Another great example, look at the way military groups, police groups, strike teams, SWAT teams, SEAL units, watch the movies, the documentaries, watch how they act. Now, yes, the cliche is that no plan survives first contact, but that's only true because it sounds cool and to an extent. Don't decide, okay, Joe's going to the back door. Joe gets to the back door. Joe, how are you getting through the door? Well, maybe I should climb up on the roof and go through the window. No, nothing's changed. Stick with the plan. Don't second guess. You probably already just spent half an hour figuring out that you were going to go to the back door. Just stick with it. Be decisive. And I know that's hard for some players. You guys are not military. You're like me. You're a bunch of nerds making plans, sitting at a table with no pressure. The problem here is not about any great loss or threat. It's about making the most out of your time at the table. And a lot of it is learning skills too. D&D is great for this. It can help people work on things in life that they want to work on. And I don't want to get all mushy, all next level and stuff. But if you're an indecisive person, D&D can help you to become more decisive. And a lot of the time, decisiveness isn't just about competence or knowledge or even attitude. It's about being prepared. And that's why all this stuff loops together. Player prep. Know what your character can do. if you start your turn and you're a little off balance and somebody says there's a monster in front of you, what do? There's 5 million things that you could do. But there's probably 3 things that are best to do. And once you know that ahead of time, you can pick one of those 3 relatively quickly. All right, anyway. Next page. Is that all? Am I done? Holy cow. I thought I had more to say. So a few basic things. It's usually better to focus attacks. Range is great for picking off most wounded. You don't want to waste DPS. You don't want to waste damage. If your fighter has the ability to unleash 40 points of damage on a character or on a target, and that target has 15 health, 15 hit points, you don't want to waste 25 points. If you've got a big damage output, target something that has those hit points and let your range guy finish it off. Magic Missile is great for this. If you got somebody teetering, and once you get a rhythm for your DM, you kind of start to get a feel. All right, how many hit points does this guy actually have left? What are the words that your DM uses mean? Is he wobbling? Is he teetering? Is he having, is he bloodied? And once you get a feel for that, all right, this guy needs a full burst of magic missiles and that should finish him off. Or that DM just gave that smirk that he usually gives. That guy ain't got more than 3 hit points left. We're gonna ping him with 1. It's playing together, and it's also expectations, and also should take advantage of that and not always be completely predictable as a DM or as a player. But be decisive, and general tactics. Think about what you're doing. Plan your turn before your turn. I know all the stuff I've already said. That's really the extent of my little talk today. The things I wanted to discuss. Part of this is trying to reinvigorate my channel. YouTube's been mean to me the last, I don't know, 2 weeks or so. I think they forgot that I exist. So sometimes these live streams help with that. And I had a little extra time this weekend, so I may do another one tomorrow. Feel free to leave comments here. I'm gonna post this to the channel pretty much immediately, so feel free to comment. Let me know what you would like to talk about. What time of day is good for you? I'm totally not opposed to doing this kind of thing on a regular basis. So, again, my name is Lewis Nichols. This is World Building Essentials and Exercises. We normally do stuff that's completely world building oriented, but we do rule stuff too, like today. Rules, tactics, character building. There's a lot to this game that we love. You are all important to this world, and I'm glad you stopped by. Cheers.